Peace and love, soul fam, and welcome back to my channel. My name is Goddess Show Me Day, formerly known as Goddess Ebony Q, and today we will be reading chapter 6 of The Four Agreements by Don Miguel Ruiz. If you would like to purchase this book and you do not have this book, you can support your local library by checking it out there, or you can support your local bookstore by buying the book there. But if you like to purchase your books online, make sure you click the description bar below. I have a link in my bio where you can purchase the book on Amazon. And if you use my link, this allows you to pour back into this community so that we can continue on with these spiritual book clubs. So with that being said, let's get started. We are on page 93. Breaking Old Agreements, the Toltec Path to Freedom. Everyone talks about freedom all around the world. Different people, different races, different countries are fighting for freedom. But what is freedom? But in America, we speak of living in a free country. But are we really free? Are we free to be who we really are? The answer is no, we are not free. True freedom has to do with the human spirit. It is the freedom to be who we really are. Who stops us from being free? We blame the government, we blame the weather, we blame our parents, we blame religion, we blame God. Who really stops us from being free? We stop ourselves. What does it really mean to be free? Sometimes we get married and we say that we lose our freedom. Then we get divorced and we are still not free. What stops us? Why can't we be ourselves? We have memories of long ago when we used to be free and we loved being free. But we have forgotten what freedom really is. And if we see a child who is 2 or 3, perhaps 4 years old, we find a free human. And why is this human free? Because this human does whatever he or she wants to do. The human is completely wild, just like a flower, a tree, or an animal that has not yet been domesticated. Wild. And if we observe humans who are 2 years old, we find that most of the time, these humans have a big smile on their face and they're having fun. They're exploring the world. They're not afraid of play. They are afraid when they are hurt, when they are hungry, when some of their needs are not being met, but they don't worry about the past and they don't care about the future. They only live in the present moment. And very young children are not afraid to express what they feel. They are so loving that if they perceive love, they melt into love. They are not afraid to love at all. And that is the description of a normal human being. As children, we are not free, afraid of the future or ashamed of the past. Our normal human tendency is to enjoy life, to play, to explore, to be happy, and to love. But what has happened with the adult human? Why are we so different? Why are we not wild? From the point of view of the victim, we can say that something sad happened to us. And from the point of view of the warrior, we can say that what happened to us is normal. What has happened is that we have the book of law, the big judge, and the victim who rules our lives. We are no longer free because the judge, the victim, and the belief system don't allow us to be who we really are. And once our mind has been programmed with all that garbage, we are no longer happy. This chain of training from human to human, from generation to generation, is perfectly normal in human society. You don't need to blame your parents for teaching you to be like them. What else could they teach you but what they know? They did the best they could, and if they abused you, it was due to their own domestication, their own fears, their own beliefs. They had no control over the programming they received, so they couldn't have behaved any differently. There is no need to blame your parents or anyone who has abused you in your life, including yourself. But it is time to stop the abuse. It is time to free yourself of the tyranny of the judge by changing the foundation of your own agreements. It is time to be free from the role of the victim. The real you is still a little child who never grew up. And sometimes that little child comes out when you're having fun or playing, when you feel happy, when you're painting or you're writing poetry or you're playing the piano or expressing yourself in some way. And these are the happiest moments of your life, when the real you comes out, when you don't care about the past and you don't worry about the future. You are childlike. But there is something that changes all that, and we call them responsibilities. The judge says, wait a second, you are responsible. You have things to do, you have to work, you have to go to school, you have to earn a living. All these responsibilities come to mind. Our face changes and we become serious again. But if you watch children when they are playing adults, you will see their little faces change. Let's pretend I'm a lawyer. And right away their face changes. The adult face takes over. We go to court and that is the face we see. And that is what we are. We are still children, but we have lost our freedom. The freedom we are looking for is the freedom to be ourselves, the freedom to express ourselves. But if we look at our lives, we will see that most of the time we do things just to please others, just to be accepted by others, rather than living our lives to please ourselves. And this is what has happened to our freedom. And we see in a society, in our society, and all the societies around the world, that for every 1,000 people, 999 are completely domesticated. But the worst part is that most of us are not even aware that we're not free. There is something inside that whispers to us that we are not free, but we do not understand what it is and why we are not free. The problem with most people is that they live their lives and never discover that the judge and the victim rule their mind. The first step to personal freedom is awareness. We need to be aware that we are not free in order to be free. We need to be aware of what the problem is in order to solve the problem. And awareness is always the first step, because if you're not aware, there is nothing you can change. If you're not aware that your mind is full of wounds and emotional poison, you cannot begin to clean and heal the wounds, and you'll continue to suffer. There is no reason to suffer. With awareness, you can rebel and say, that is enough. You can look for a way to heal and transform your personal dream. The dream of the planet is just a dream. It is not even real. If you go into the dream and start challenging your beliefs, you will find that most of the beliefs that guided you into the wounded mind are not even true. You will find that you suffered all those years of drama for nothing. Why? Because the belief system that was put inside your mind is based on lies. And that is why it is important for you to master your own dream. And that is why the Toltecs became dream masters. Your life is the manifestation of your dream. It is an art. And you can change your life anytime if you aren't enjoying that dream. Dream masters create a masterpiece of life. They control the dream by making choices. Everything has consequences, and the dream master is aware of the consequences. To be Toltec is a way of life. It is a way of life where there are no leaders and no followers, where you have your own truth and you live your own truth. A Toltec becomes wise, becomes wild, and becomes free again. There are 3 masteries that lead people to become Toltecs. First is the mastery of awareness. This is to be aware of who you really are, with all the possibilities. The second is the master of transformation. And the third is the master of intent. Intent from the Toltec point of view is that part of life that makes transformation of energy possible. It is the one living being that seamlessly encompasses all energy, or what we call God. Intent is life itself. It is unconditional love. And the mastery of intent is therefore the mastery of love. And when we talk about the Toltec path to freedom, we find that they have an entire map for breaking free of domestication. They compare the judge, the victim, and the belief system to a parasite that invades the human mind. And from the Toltec point of view, all humans who are domesticated are sick. They are sick because there is a parasite that controls the mind and controls the brain. The food for the parasite is the negative emotions that come from fear. And if we look at the description of a parasite, we find that a parasite is a living being who lives off of other living beings, sucking their energy without any useful contribution in return, and hurting their host little by little. The judge, the victim, and the belief system fit this description very well. Together, they comprise a living being made of psychic or emotional energy, and that energy is alive. Of course, it is not material energy, but neither are emotions material energy. Our dreams are not material energy either, but we know they exist. And one function of the brain is to transform material energy into emotional energy. Our brain is the factory of the emotions, and we have said that the main function of the mind is to dream. The Toltecs believe that the parasite, the judge, the victim, and the belief system has control of the mind. It controls your personal dream. The parasite dreams through your mind and lives its life through your body. It survives on the emotions that come from fear and thrive on drama and suffering. The freedom we seek is to use our own mind and body to live our own life instead of the life of the belief system. And when we discover that the mind is controlled by the judge and the victim, and the real us is in the corner, we have just two choices. One is the choice to keep living the way we are, to surrender to the judge and the victim, to keep living in the dream of the planet. The second choice is to do what we do as children when parents try to domesticate us. We rebel and we say no. We can declare a war against the parasite, a war against the judge and the victim, a war for our independence, a war for the right to use our own mind and our own brain. And that is why in all shamanic traditions in America, from Canada to Argentina, people call themselves warriors because they are in a war against the parasite in the mind. That is the real meaning of a warrior. The warrior is one who rebels against the invasion of the parasite. The warrior rebels and declares a war, but to be a warrior doesn't mean we always win the war. We may win or we may lose, but we always do our best, and at least we have a chance to be free again. Choosing this path gives us at least the dignity of rebellion and ensures that we will not be the helpless victim of our own whimsical emotions or the poisonous emotions of others. And even if we succumb to the enemy, the parasite, we will not be among those victims who would not fight back. At best, being a warrior gives us an opportunity to transcend the dream of the planet and to change our personal dream to a dream that we call heaven. And just like hell, heaven is a place that exists within our mind. It is a place of joy, a place where we are happy, where we are free to love and to be who we really are. We can reach heaven while we are alive. We don't have to wait until we die. God is always present and the kingdom of heaven is everywhere. But first, we need to have the eyes and ears to see and hear that truth. We need to be free of the parasite. The parasite can be compared to a monster with 1,000 heads. Every head of the parasite is one of the fears that we have. And if you want to be free, we have to destroy the parasite. One solution is to attack the parasite head by head, which means we face each of our fears one by one. This is a slow process, but it works. And every time we face one of the fears, we are a little more free. A second approach is to stop feeding the parasite. If we don't give the parasite any food, we kill the parasite by starvation. To do this, we have to gain control of our emotions. We have to refrain from fueling the emotions that come from fear. And this is easy to say, but it's very difficult to do. It is difficult because the judge and the victim control our mind. And the third solution is called the initiation of the dead. The initiation of the dead is found in many traditions and esoteric schools around the world. We find it in Egypt, India, Greece, and America. And this is a symbolic death which kills the parasite without harming our physical body. When we die, symbolically, the parasite has to die. This is faster than the first two solutions, but it's even more difficult to do. We need a great deal of courage to face the angel of death. We need to be very strong. Let's take a closer look at each of these solutions. So we are now on page 105, The Art of Transformation, the Dream of the Second Attention. We have learned that the dream you are living now is the result of the outside dream hooking your attention and feeding you all of your beliefs. process of domestication can be called the dream of the first attention because it was how your attention was used for the first time to create the first dream of your life. One way to change your beliefs is to focus your attention on all those agreements and beliefs and change the agreements with yourself. In doing this, you are using your attention for the second time, thus creating the dream of the second attention or the new dream. Difference is you are no longer innocent. When you were a child, this was not true. You didn't have a choice, but you are no longer a child. Now it's up to you to choose what to believe and what not to believe. You can choose to believe in anything, and that includes believing in yourself. The first step is to become aware of the fog that is in your mind. You must become aware that you are dreaming all the time. Only with awareness do you have the possibility of transforming your dream. And if you have the awareness that the whole drama of your life is the result of what you believe and what you believe is not real, then you can begin to change it. However, to really change your beliefs, you need to focus your attention on what it is that you want to change. You have to know which agreements you want to change before you can change them. So the next step is to develop awareness of all the self-limiting, fear-based beliefs that make you unhappy. You take an inventory of all that you believe, all of your agreements, and through this process, you begin the transformation. The Toltecs call this the art of transformation, and it's a whole mastery. You achieve the mastery of transformation by changing the fear-based agreements that make you suffer and reprogramming your mind in your own way. One of the ways to do this is to explore and adopt alternative beliefs, such as the 4 agreements. The decision to adopt the 4 agreements is a declaration of war to regain your freedom from the parasite. The 4 agreements offer the possibility of ending the emotional pain, which can open up the door for you to enjoy your life and begin a new dream. It is up to you to explore the possibilities of your dream if you are interested. The 4 agreements were created to assist you in the art of transformation, to help you break the limiting agreements, gain more personal power, and become stronger. And the stronger you get, the more agreements you can break, until the moment comes when you make it to the core of all those agreements. Going to the core of those agreements is what I call going into the desert. When you go into the desert, you meet your demons face to face. And after coming out of the desert, all those demons become angels. Practicing the 4 new agreements is a big act of power. Breaking the spell of black magic in your mind requires great personal power. Every time you break an agreement, you gain extra power. You start by breaking agreements that are very small and require less power. As those smaller agreements are broken, your personal power will increase until you reach a point when you can finally face the big demons in your mind. For example, a little girl who was told not to sing is now 20 years old, and she still does not sing. One way she can overcome that belief that her voice is ugly is to say, okay, I will try to sing even if I do sing badly. Then she can pretend that someone is clapping and tell her, oh, that was beautiful. This may break the agreement a teeny tiny bit, but it will still be there. However, now she has a little more power and courage to try again and again until she finally breaks the agreement. That's one way out of the dream of hell. But for every agreement you break that makes you suffer, you will need to replace it with a new agreement that makes you happy. This will keep the old agreement from coming back. If you occupy the same space with a new agreement, then the old agreement is gone forever, and in its place is the new agreement. There are many strong beliefs in the mind that can make this process look hopeless. This is why you need to go step by step and be patient with yourself, because this is a slow process. The way you are living now is the result of many years of domestication, and you cannot expect to break the domestication in one day. Breaking agreements is very difficult because we put the power of the word into every agreement we have made. We need the same amount of power to change an agreement. We cannot change an agreement with less power than we use to make the agreement. And almost all of our personal power is invested in keeping the agreements we have with ourselves. That's because our agreements are actually like a strong addiction. We are addicted to being the way we are. We are addicted to anger, jealousy, and self pity. We are addicted to the beliefs that tell us, I'm not good enough, I'm not intelligent enough. Why even try? Other people will do it because they're better than me. All of these old agreements, which rule our dream of life, are the result of repeating them over and over again. Therefore, to adopt the four agreements, you need to put repetition into action. Practicing the new agreements in your life is how your best becomes better. Repetition makes the master. The discipline of the warrior. Controlling your own behavior, on page 111. Imagine that you wake early one morning, overflowing with enthusiasm for the day. You feel good, you are happy, and have plenty of energy to face the day. Then at breakfast, you have a big fight with your spouse, and a flood of emotion comes out. You get mad, and in the emotion of anger, you spend a lot of personal power. After the fight, you feel drained, and you just want to go and cry. In fact, you feel so tired that you go to your room, collapse, and try to recover. You spend the day wrapped up in your emotions. You have no energy to keep going, and you just want to walk away from everything. Every day we awake with a certain amount of mental, emotional, and physical energy that we spend throughout the day. And if we allow our emotions to deplete our energy, we have no energy to change our lives or to give to others. And the way you see the world will depend on the emotions you're feeling. When you are angry, everything around you is wrong, nothing is right. You blame everything, including the weather, whether it's raining or the sun is shining. Nothing pleases you. When you are sad, everything around you is sad and makes you cry. You see the trees and you feel sad. You see the rain and everything looks so sad. Perhaps you feel vulnerable and have a need to protect yourself because you don't know in what moment someone will attack you. You do not trust anyone or anything around you. And this is because you see the world with the eyes of fear. Imagine that the human mind is the same as your skin. You can touch healthy skin and it feels wonderful. Your skin is made for perception and the sensation of touch is wonderful. Now imagine you have an injury and the skin gets cut and infected. If you touch the infected skin, it is going to hurt, so you try to cover and protect the skin. You will not enjoy being touched because it hurts. Now imagine that all humans have this skin disease. Nobody can touch each other because it is going to hurt. Everyone has wounds on their skin, so the infection is seen as normal. The pain is also considered normal. We believe we are supposed to be that way. Can you imagine how we would behave with each other if all the humans in the world had this skin disease? Of course, we would hardly ever hug each other because it would be too painful. So we would need to create a lot of distance between us. The human mind is exactly like this description of infected skin. Every human has an emotional body completely covered with infected wounds. Each wound is infected with emotional poison, the poison of all the emotions that make us suffer, such as hate, anger, envy, and sadness. An action of injustice opens a wound in the mind, and we react with emotional poison because of the concepts and beliefs we have about injustice and what is fair. The mind is so wounded and full of poison by the process of domestication that everyone describes the wounded mind as normal. This is considered normal, but I can tell you it is not normal. We have a dysfunctional dream of the planet, and humans are mentally sick with a disease called fear. The symptom of the disease are all the emotions that make humans suffer: anger, hate, sadness, envy, and betrayal. When the fear is too great, the reasoning mind begins to fail, and we call this mental illness. Psychotic behavior occurs when the mind is frightened and the wound so painful that it seems better to break contact with the outside world. If we can see our state of mind as a disease, we find there is a cure. We don't have to suffer any longer. First, we need the truth to open the emotional wounds, take the poison out, and heal the wounds completely. How do we do this? We must forgive those we feel have wronged us, not because they deserve to be forgiven, But because we love ourselves so much, we don't want to keep paying for the injustice. Forgiveness is the only way to heal. We can choose to forgive because we feel compassion for ourselves. We can let go of the resentment and declare, that is enough. I will no longer be the big judge that goes up against myself. I will no longer beat myself up and abuse myself. I will no longer be the victim. First, we need to forgive our parents, our brothers, our sisters, our friends, and God. Once you forgive God, you can finally forgive yourself. Once you forgive yourself, the self-rejection in your mind is over. Self-acceptance begins, and the self-love will grow so strong that you will finally accept yourself just the way you are. That's the beginning of the free human. Forgiveness is the key. You will know you have forgiven someone when you see them and you no longer have an emotional reaction. You will hear the name of the person and you will no longer have an emotional reaction. When someone can touch what used to be a wound and it no longer hurts you, then you know you have truly forgiven. The truth is like a scalpel. The truth is painful because it opens all of the wounds which are covered by lies so that we can be healed. These lies are what we call the denial system. And it is a good thing we have the denial system because it allows us to cover our wounds and still function. But once we no longer have any wounds or any emotional poison, we don't need to lie anymore. We don't need the denial system because a healthy mind, like healthy skin, can be touched without hurting. It's pleasurable for the mind to be touched when it's clean. The problem with most people is that they lose control of their emotions. It is the emotions that control the behavior of the human, not the human who controls the emotions. And when we lose control, we say things that we don't want to say and do things that we don't want to do. That is why it is so important to be impeccable with our word and to become a spiritual warrior. We must learn to control the emotions so we have enough personal power to change our fear-based agreements, escape from hell, and create our own personal heaven. How are we to become a warrior? There are certain characteristics of the warrior that are nearly the same around the world. The warrior has an awareness. That's very important. We are aware that we are at war, and the war in our minds requires discipline. Not the discipline of a soldier, but the discipline of a warrior. Not the discipline from the outside to tell us what to do and what not to do, but the discipline to be ourselves no matter what. The warrior has control, not control over any other human, but control over one's own emotions, control over one's own self. It is when we lose control that we repress the emotions, not when we are in control. The big difference between a warrior and a victim is that the victim represses and the warrior refrains. Victims repress because they are afraid to show the emotions, afraid to say what they want to say. To refrain is not the same thing as repression. To refrain is to hold the emotions and to express them in the right moment, not before, not after. That is why warriors are impeccable. They have complete control over their own emotions and therefore over their own behavior. Now we're on page 118. The initiation of the dead, embracing the angel of death. The final way to attain personal freedom is to prepare ourselves for the initiation of the dead, to take death itself as our teacher. What the angel of death can teach us is how to truly be alive. We become aware that we can die at any moment. We have just the present to be alive. The truth is that we don't know if we're going to die tomorrow. Who knows? We have the idea that we have many years in the future, but do we? If we go to the hospital and the doctor tells us that we have 1 week to live, what are we going to do? As we have said before, we have two choices. One is to suffer because we are going to die, and to tell everyone, poor me, I am going to die, and really create a huge drama. The other choice is to choose every moment to be happy, to do what we really enjoy doing. If we only have 1 week to live, let's enjoy life. Let's be alive. We can say, I'm going to be myself. No longer am I going to run my life trying to please other people. No longer am I going to be afraid of what they think about me. What do I care what others think if I'm going to die in 1 week? I'm going to be myself. The angel of death can teach us to live every day as if it is the last day of our lives, as if there may be no tomorrow. We can begin each day by saying, I am awake. I see the sun. I am going to give my gratitude to the sun and to everything and everyone because I am still alive. 1 more day to be myself. That is such a beautiful, I don't know if it's an affirmation or just a statement to say every time you rise. 1 more day to be myself. Like, just imagine how things would shift in your world, how your attitude would shift when you open your eyes. If the first thought was gratitude and to say 1 more day to be myself, that's powerful. And that is the way that I see life. That is what the angel of death taught me, to be completely open, to know that there is nothing to be afraid of. And of course, I treat the people I love with love, because this may be the last day that I can tell you how much I love you. I don't know if I'm going to see you again, so I don't want to fight with you. What if I had a big fight with you and I told you all of these emotional poisons that I had against you and you die tomorrow? Whoops, oh my God, the judge will get me so bad. And I'll feel so guilty for everything that I said to you. I will even feel guilty for not telling you how much I love you. The love that makes me happy is the love that I can share with you. Why do I need to deny that I love you? It is not important if you love me back. I may die tomorrow or you may die tomorrow, and what makes me happy now is to let you know how much I love you. You can live your life this way. By doing so, you prepare yourself for the initiation of death. What is going to happen in the initiation is death is that the old dream that you have in your mind is going to die forever. Yes, you are going to have memories of the parasite, of the judge, the victim, and what you used to believe, but the parasite will be dead. And that is what's going to die in the initiation of death, the parasite. It is not easy to go for the initiation of death because the judge and the victim will fight with everything they had. They don't want to die. And we feel we are the ones who are going to die, and we are afraid of this death. When we live in the dream of the planet, it is as if we are dead, and whoever survives the initiation of death receives the most wonderful gift, the resurrection. To receive the resurrection is to arise from the dead, to be alive, to be ourselves again. The resurrection is to be like a child, to be wild and free, but with a difference. The difference is that we have freedom with wisdom instead of innocence. We are able to break our domestication, become free again, and heal our mind. We surrender to the angel of death, knowing that the parasite will die, and we will still be alive with a healthy mind and perfect reason. Then we are free to use our own mind and to run our own life. That is what, in the Toltec way, the angel of death teaches us. The angel of death comes to mind and says, you see, everything that exists here is mine. It is not yours, your house, your spouse, your children, your car, your career, your money. Everything is mine, and I can take it away when I want to, but for now you can use it. If we surrender to the angel of death, we will be happy forever and ever. Why? Because the angel of death takes away the past in order to make it possible for life to continue. For every moment that is past, the angel of death keeps taking the part that is dead, and we keep living in the present. The parasite wants us to carry the past with us, and that makes it so heavy to be alive. Ooh, I'm going to say that again. The parasite wants us to carry the past with us, and that's what makes it so heavy to be alive. When we try to live in the past, how can we enjoy the present? When we dream of the future, why must we carry the burden of the past? When are we going to live in the present? That is what the angel of death teaches us to do. Woo! That is the end of chapter 6. We are on page 122. A lot of great gems, a lot to take in. And honestly, a lot of these sections within just this one chapter have sparked so many different insights for me and really brought so many different memories, like clarity to different memories into my path. And maybe I'll make some videos sharing some of those insights. But if you got any insights from this, make sure you comment them below. If there were any sparks of nuggets of wisdom or inspiration, please share them in the comments. Like this video, share this video with someone you feel could benefit from this reading. And make sure you hit your notifications bell so that you can be notified when the next reading is up or any videos that I make pertaining to this book. As I said, I may share my nuggets of inspiration and wisdom in the upcoming days. So be sure to stay in tune, stay in touch, and I'll see you for the next reading of chapter 7. Until next time, peace and love.